My age is 35, my AMH is 0.6. I'm in a relationship with a male partner. What should I do now?
Okay, so yes, we will be answering some user questions on AMH. So before we, yeah, like Gabby said, before we move to the next topic, maybe later this week we will be discussing my AMH research. So I will go through the research studies we did on AMH. Before that, we'll just answer some user questions. So essentially, what happens with egg reserve? Everyone has a high egg reserve when they're young. Then egg reserve keeps dropping to lower levels. At some stage it enters critical low AMH level. So you can define it the different ways. So essentially, if you have AMH less than 3 or so, that means you have very low egg reserve. So low AMH or low egg reserve means you have a time limit on your fertility. So that we are not talking about egg quality, we're talking about egg reserve or egg quantity. So then AMH, let us say it goes to critical stage where you have a low AMH less than 3 picomoliters, then goes to the stage where you have undetectable AMH. So undetectable AMH means your AMH is less than 0.6 picomoliters. Why 0.6? Because that's a detection limit of AMH test. So, and when AMH becomes undetectable, then you have got the hidden phase of critically low egg reserve. That phase we cannot tell how long will last in each person. It can really vary. So, and what happens is once you have an undetectable AMH, which means that you may be producing follicles, maybe producing eggs, especially if you're having regular menstrual period, but you're producing AMH from the follicle, but the level of AMH is not high enough in your blood to be detected by AMH test, because sensitivity of AMH test set to 0.6 picomoliters. So yeah, so really when you have an undetectable AMH which is 0.6 or less, first thing you need to do is you need to check antral follicle count. You need to know how many follicles you can see on ultrasound scan on both ovaries. So like we said previously, antral follicle count means you need to measure all follicles which measures less than 1 centimeters on your ovaries. So you do AMH, it is 0.6 or less, then do antral follicle count and establish how many follicles you have. Then after a couple of weeks, you repeat the AMH again and repeat antral follicle count. Why? Because you have a natural variation on AMH and AFC. By repeating AMH twice, antral follicle count twice, you establish your baseline egg reserve. So if you have a low undetectable AMH, high antral follicle count, so that's overall, that's good. That means, yes, you still have a very low egg reserve or critically low egg reserve, but you have an AMH gene deficiency, which means each antral follicle is producing less amount of AMH than expected. Generally, if you have an AMH of 0.6, antral follicle count should be like 3 or 4 or 5, around that mark. If you have AMH of 0.6 and AFC is like 8, 10 or higher, that means that you actually may have a little bit higher egg reserve than your AMH is showing, and you may have AMH gene deficiency and you're producing less AMH per antral follicles. So then you repeat again, so your AMH may come back a little bit higher, it may become detectable 1.2, 1.5, and AFC, again, you see the variation. Then you establish your true egg reserve. So yes, so first you should do AMH, repeat AMH and repeat AFC, so at least twice, then you establish your true egg reserve. So then if you are in relationship with your male partner, you need to speak with the partner, ensure that you both want to have a child together first, and second is you're both ready to have a child. So if that is the case, if your partner is on board and if you want to have a child together and you're ready to have a child now, then you should start trying to conceive. And of course, while you're trying to conceive, you need to rule out all other causes of infertility. Let us say if you don't rule out all the causes, let us say your partner's sperm parameter is very poor, if your tubes are blocked, then you may just try another 6 months without success, which that 6 months may be very critical for you because you may stop producing eggs. After that, you may go into the phase we call perimenopause. So this is why, so you have low AMH, you are in relationship with a male partner, both of you want to have kids, and you're ready to have kids now. So then you need to do a full fertility workup, which means you need to check your fallopian tubes by doing high COSI. I don't recommend doing HSG. You should do high COSI. So, and the second is your partner needs to do semen analysis. And if you're having regular menstrual period, which means you're releasing eggs, so you need to start trying to conceive immediately. At the same time, as we said, you have a time limit. That time limit may be 6 months or 1 year or longer before you stop producing eggs. So which means during that period, you should start a referral process to fertility specialists. You need to see your GP, depending on which country you live. This process of referral to fertility specialists can be long. It can be like as short as 1 week. Like if you live in Australia, within a week you can see a fertility specialist. If you live in other countries, it may take 3 months or 6 months before you see fertility specialists. So you need to have a parallel track, one track for natural conception by having regular intercourse after checking all fertility parameters. And second parallel track is a referral to fertility specialists, seeing GP, doing all the fertility workups, all the screening tests, and getting ready for fertility treatment, which is usually IVF in this situation. So if you get pregnant while you are doing before you see fertility specialists, naturally that's excellent. The problem is solved. If not, then you need to see fertility specialists and start fertility treatment. In this situation, only treatment adds to your natural chance of natural conception is IVF. IUI doesn't add anything to what you're doing, and ovulation induction you do not need, because in all patients with low AMH having a regular period have a ovulation. You don't even need to check your ovulation by doing progesterone, because low AMH and regular period indicates that you are ovulating. So all other treatments like ovulation induction or IUI doesn't add anything to what you are doing, which is trying to conceive naturally. So next level up to improve your chance will be doing IVF. Why? For example, you have AMH of 0.6, antral follicle of 8. So if you have a good IVF cycle, you should be able to produce 4 or 5 eggs. And out of 4 or 5 eggs, depending on your age, egg quality, your partner's sperm quality, you may be able to produce 1 high-grade embryo. So essentially, by doing IVF, you're going 4 or 5 times faster. Like we said, you have a time limit on your fertility. If you go 4 or 5 times faster, that may be actual intervention which can help you to get pregnant. So let us say you produce 5 eggs, that's equal to trying to conceive naturally for 5 months. Plus, those 5 produced eggs are inseminated by selected sperm in controlled condition and create embryo and transfer that embryo in controlled condition and support with progesterone. That gives you highest possible chance of successful pregnancy. So depending on accessibility of IVF, like if you're in Australia, if you're not successful, next month you can do another IVF, next month you can do another IVF. IVF is very accessible in Australia, and it's very affordable as well, so compared to other countries. So it depends on your on healthcare setting where you are in, on your overall resources. You can make a plan which tailored to you. I'm just simply talking from point of view of what gives you highest chance of successful pregnancy. IVF may or may not be accessible, but this intervention, repeating AMH and AFC twice, starting referral process to fertility specialists, trying to conceive naturally after speaking to your partner, and if you're not successful within like 3 months or 6 months, then doing IVF is an intervention which gives you highest possible chance of successful pregnancy. That's my recommendation.